Hello, welcome to the channel Y Stories. Enjoy watching.
Mom, I made you a set of keys to our villa, my husband said at the wedding and handed my mother-in-law the keys to my villa. A couple of minutes later the host took the microphone and announced, and now, a special gift from the bride to the groom and his mother. And that's when both of them froze. Alicia woke up 2 hours before the alarm. 6 in the morning. It was still dark outside, but she couldn't sleep anymore. She lay on her back, staring at the ceiling, listening to the silence of her villa. In 8 hours her life was supposed to change. A wedding, a white dress, rings, vows, guests, romance. Only everything would go very differently from what her fiancé, Daniel Moreno, had planned. And certainly not the way his mother, Valentina, expected. Alicia sat up in bed and rubbed her face with her hands. She turned on the night light. Soft light spread across the bedroom, illuminating the familiar walls, the light oak wardrobe, the dresser with photos. Her bedroom. In her house. The one she had bought herself 3 years ago. She stood up, walked to the window, pulled the curtains open. April had been cold. The apple trees stood bare, their black branches sticking out into the gray sky. In a month they would bloom, covered in white and pink flowers, smelling of spring. But Alicia didn't know whether she would be watching that bloom alone or with a husband. Although, if she was honest, she already knew the answer. Alicia went downstairs barefoot. The wooden stairs creaked under her feet. The house was cool. She had turned on the heating the night before, but the air had cooled again overnight. She walked into the kitchen, switched on the electric kettle, took a yogurt from the fridge, sat down at the table and began to eat. The spoon was metal, cold. The yogurt was strawberry, sweet. Alicia chewed slowly, methodically, though she didn't taste anything. She ate because she had to. Today would be a long day and she needed strength. Her phone vibrated on the table. The screen lit up. A message from Daniel. Good morning, my beautiful bride. I can't believe that in just a few hours you'll be my wife. I'm so happy. I love you. More than life. Alicia read it and put the phone face down. She didn't reply. She finished her tea and yogurt, rinsed the dishes and put them in the drying rack, wiped the table, slowly, calmly, methodically. No rush, no nerves. She went back upstairs, opened the wardrobe. The wedding dress hung on the rail. Ivory color. A simple cut without lace or rhinestones. Alicia had never liked excess. The dress wasn't expensive, but it looked elegant. She had bought it herself, without help from friends and without the advice of her future mother-in-law. She had simply gone to the store, tried on 3 dresses, and chose the one she felt comfortable in. Alicia ran her hand across the fabric. Smooth, pleasant. She imagined how in just a few hours she would put on this dress, drive to the restaurant, smile at the guests. And then Daniel and Valentina would get a lesson they would remember for the rest of their lives. Alicia lay back down on the bed, picked up her phone, scrolled through photos. There she was 3 years ago, standing on the doorstep of this villa, holding the keys, beaming with happiness. There she was painting the fence, planting roses, sitting on the terrace with a cup of tea. This house had been her dream, her fortress, her personal space that no one could take away. And it was because of this house that everything had begun. 3 years ago, Alicia Cruz was 32. She worked as an attorney at a construction company, earned a good salary, and rented an apartment on the outskirts of the city. The apartment was fine, a 2-bedroom place, newly renovated. But Alicia hated that every month she poured money into someone else's property. That money simply evaporated. It didn't accumulate, didn't turn into anything of her own. It just disappeared. To the landlady, a heavy-set woman in her 50s, who always looked at Alicia with thinly veiled disdain. You should get married instead of running around rented apartments, the landlady said every time Alicia brought the payment. Alicia silently handed over the money, turned around, and left. There was no point arguing. People of the old school would never understand that a woman could be happy without a husband. But the housing issue did bother her. Alicia started studying the real estate market. Apartment prices in the city were insane. Even a tiny 1-bedroom in a residential district cost so much that she would have to take out a mortgage for 30 years. Alicia calculated, estimated, built charts in Excel. It turned out she would pay the bank almost twice the actual value of the apartment. It seemed ridiculous. One Friday evening, while Alicia sat at home with her laptop, scrolling through listings for the 100th time, she clicked the wrong tab. Instead of apartments, the section houses and villas opened. Alicia wanted to close it, but her eyes caught on one listing. A villa in the suburb of Valle del Sol. 110 square meters, 2 floors, a 700 square meter plot, price negotiable. Alicia clicked. The photos opened. A red brick two-story house with tall windows. Inside it was bright and spacious. A large kitchen with artificial stone countertops, a living room with wooden ceiling beams, 3 bedrooms upstairs, a bathroom with a bathtub and a separate shower. Alicia looked at the photos and felt something stir inside her. This, exactly what she needed. Not a concrete box in a high-rise where neighbors smoked in the stairwell and screamed at night, but a real house with land, with peace, with space. She looked at the price and froze. The house cost less than a 1-bedroom apartment in the city. Much less. Alicia grabbed her phone and dialed the number in the listing. A long ring, then a calm, pleasant female voice. Hello. Good evening. I'm calling about the listing the villa in Valle del Sol. Yes, I'm listening. Is the house still for sale? Yes, it is. Would you like to see it? Very much. When can I? Would tomorrow morning work? Around 10 o'clock? Perfect. Write down the address. The woman dictated how to get there. Alicia wrote it down, said goodbye, and hung up. Then she sat back at her computer and began Googling information about the suburb. Valle del Sol was located 35 kilometers from the city. The bus ride took 45 minutes. The suburb had a school, a kindergarten, a small store, a pharmacy, paved roads, gas lines installed, internet available. It seemed civilized enough. Alicia went to bed late, but woke up early. By 8:30 she was already sitting on the bus, looking out the window. Snow-covered fields, scattered villages, country houses flashed by. March wasn't over yet, spring had only just begun. At the Valle del Sol stop Alicia got off and looked around. A small stop, a wooden bus station building, a few benches. Clean, quiet. Only the wind whistled, and somewhere in the distance a dog barked. Alicia took out her phone and opened the map. The seller had said the house was a 10-minute walk from the stop. Alicia followed the route. The road led through the suburb. The houses were solid, most made of brick or timber. Strong fences, closed gates. Here and there smoke rose from chimneys. It smelled of firewood and something homey, comforting. Alicia walked and thought that one really could live here. Quiet, peaceful, without the bustle of the city. House number 27 was at the end of the street. A 2-story red brick home, just like in the photos. A wooden fence painted green. The gate was slightly open. Alicia pushed it and stepped onto the property. A woman came out to meet her, about 58, short, wearing a khaki winter jacket and rubber boots. Her hair was gray, tied in a bun. Her face looked tired but kind. Are you Alicia? Yes. Hello, Otelia. Come in, I'll show you the house. They walked along the path to the porch. Otelia opened the door and let Alicia go in first. Inside it smelled of wood and apples. A spacious entryway, a coat rack made of solid oak. A mirror in a simple frame. Wooden floors, varnished. Otelia took off her boots. Alicia removed her shoes. Come to the kitchen, Otelia gestured. The kitchen turned out to be large, about 20 square meters. The windows looked out into the garden. The furniture was simple but sturdy. The countertop really was artificial stone, gray in color. A gas stove with 4 burners, a built-in refrigerator. Everything clean, smelling of lemon. My husband and I built this house 23 years ago, Otelia said, opening the cupboards. He was an engineer, designed everything himself, thought it all through. See the big windows? Lots of light, not dark in winter. Alicia nodded, examining everything. The kitchen was indeed bright and cozy. Through the window she could see apple trees, a fence, and beyond it, forest. Let's go on. Otelia led Alicia to the living room. The living room was huge, about 35 square meters, with high ceilings, around 3.5 meters. Dark wooden beams crossed the ceiling, and the windows took up the entire wall, almost from floor to ceiling. There was so much light it made you squint. In the corner stood a fireplace clad in gray stone. The fireplace works, Otelia said. You have to prepare firewood, but it's nice to use in winter. Alicia walked to the window and looked out at the garden. Apple trees, pear trees, currant bushes. Everything sleeping, but in spring it would come to life. And what's there? Alicia nodded toward a door in the corner of the living room. The study. My husband worked there. It's empty now, the furniture was taken. They went into the study. A small room, around 12 square meters. The window faced the yard, empty except for dust on the windowsill. Shall we go upstairs? Otelia suggested. They climbed the wooden stairs. Upstairs was a hallway and 3 doors. These are the bedrooms. Otelia opened the first door. The main one. We slept here. About 18 square meters. A large window, view of the garden. Empty, only the built-in wardrobe is left. The second bedroom is smaller. Otelia opened the next door. About 14 square meters. Our daughter lived here until she grew up. And the third? Guest room, small, about 10 square meters, but cozy. They inspected all the rooms, then the bathroom. Large, around 8 square meters. Corner bathtub, separate shower cabin. Beige tiles without patterns. The tiles were laid 3 years ago, Otelia said. Everything's new. Alicia examined the bathroom and nodded. Everything was indeed in good condition. They went downstairs and sat in the kitchen. Otelia turned on the kettle and brought out some cookies. Will you have some tea? With pleasure. Otelia brewed the tea and poured it into mugs. They drank in silence. Alicia was thinking. The house was good, very good, but the price seemed too low. Otelia, may I ask you something? Of course. Why is it so cheap? The house is big, in good condition. Usually places like this cost more. Otelia sighed and lowered her gaze into her mug. My husband passed away 6 months ago. A heart attack. Suddenly. My daughter moved to another city, got married. I'm alone here now. The house is big, the garden needs care. I'll be 60 soon. I can't manage it anymore. I decided to sell and move to my daughter. She keeps asking me to come. I see. My condolences. Thank you. You know, money isn't that important to me. What matters is that the house goes to a good person, someone who'll love it, take care of it. My husband and I lived here for 23 years. Happily. I want the house to stay a happy place. Alicia nodded. She understood. A house isn't just walls. It's memory, emotion, life. Otelia, I want to buy it, but I don't have the full amount right now. I can gather it in 3 months. Otelia looked at her carefully. And how much do you have? Alicia named the amount. It was her savings from 5 years plus what she could take on a short-term loan. Otelia thought for a moment. All right, let's do this. Pay what you can now. You'll give the rest when you've collected it. I'll wait. We'll make a contract with the installment terms. Are you sure? Yes, I like you. Serious, calm. I can see you're reliable. A warm feeling spread inside Alicia. She wasn't used to trust. People usually treated her warily. A single woman, 32, no husband, no children. Strange. But Otelia looked at her simply as a human being. Thank you, Alicia said. I won't let you down. I'll pay everything on time. I know. They agreed to meet a week later to do the paperwork. Alicia left. On the bus she looked out the window and smiled. Her house. Soon she would have her own house. The next 3 months flew by. Alicia worked more than usual, took extra projects, saved on everything. She cooked at home, ate porridge and soups, didn't buy new clothes, didn't go to the movies. She put away every cent. At the end of May she made the final payment. Otelia came to the notary. They completed the transfer of ownership. Alicia received an extract from the property registry, a document that stated in black and white, owner, Cruz Alicia. Congratulations, Otelia hugged Alicia. It's yours now. Take care of it. I will. Otelia left. Alicia stayed alone in the empty house, sat on the floor in the living room, leaned her back against the wall. She looked at the emptiness around her. No furniture, no dishes, only walls, ceiling, floor. And that was enough. Alicia spent her first night in a sleeping bag on the floor. In the morning she woke up to sunlight streaming through the window. She got up and stepped onto the porch. June. Warm. Birds singing. The smell of grass and flowers. The neighbor on the left came out, saw Alicia, waved. Good morning. You're the new owner? Yes, Alicia. Cynthia. If you need anything, just ask. We're all friendly here. Alicia nodded, smiled. The neighbor seemed kind. A woman around 65, in a colorful robe and rubber slippers. Over the next 2 weeks Alicia moved her things from the rented apartment. She bought furniture, the simplest kind. A bed, a sofa, a table, chairs, a dresser. All second-hand but in decent condition. She bought dishes in the store near the house, pots, pans, plates. Just the essentials. She partially switched to working remotely. She arranged with her boss that she'd work from home 3 days a week and go to the office 2 days. The boss didn't mind. Alicia was a good specialist, disciplined and responsible. Where she worked from didn't matter. By mid-June the house was settled. The furniture arranged, curtains on the windows, food in the fridge. Alicia bought a bike and rode it to the bus stop. In the evenings she worked in the garden, clearing last year's leaves, pulling weeds, trimming the apple trees. She was happy, truly happy. She had her own space, her own territory where no one could step without permission. No landlady who came once a month to check. No neighbors behind thin walls causing fights at night. Only quiet, peace, freedom. Her friends came on weekends and were surprised. Alicia, seriously? Alone in the middle of nowhere? It's not nowhere, it's the suburbs. People live here. It's 45 minutes from the city. Yeah, retirees. And you're young, you should meet people, date. Why? What do you mean why? To have a personal life. Alicia shrugged. A personal life didn't interest her. In 32 years she'd already been disappointed in men. Most were looking either for a mother, a maid, or a wallet. Few wanted an equal partner. And Alicia wasn't going to bend. She preferred solitude to bad company. But fate, as we know, likes to joke. At the end of June, on a hot Saturday, Alicia ran into Daniel Moreno. Literally ran into him. It happened at the bus stop. Alicia was waiting for the bus to the city. She needed to go to the office to pick up some documents. She was looking at her phone, reading work emails. The bus pulled up, the doors opened, the crowd surged forward. Someone shoved Alicia hard from behind. She stumbled, lost her balance. Her phone slipped from her hands and fell onto the road. Alicia tried to grab the rail but didn't have time. A strong hand caught her by the elbow and pulled her back sharply. Careful. Alicia turned around. A man about 36, tall, broad-shouldered, in a black t-shirt and jeans, dark hair, gray eyes, unshaven jaw. He was holding her by the elbow, looking concerned. Are you all right? Yes, thank you. Alicia freed her arm and looked around. The phone was lying on the asphalt, screen shattered. Your phone? The man asked. It was. Wait. He quickly picked up the phone from the road and came back. Handed it to Alicia. Here. The screen is cracked, but maybe it still works. Alicia took the phone, pressed the power button. The screen flickered, showed the lock screen, then went dark. It doesn't work. Shame. Sorry I couldn't save it. You saved me. I could have fallen. The man nodded, smiled. The smile was pleasant, genuine. People push like cattle. It's dangerous to stand at the edge. They got on the bus and ended up next to each other. The man pulled out his phone but didn't bury himself in it. He looked out the window. Do you live in Valle del Sol? He asked after a couple of minutes. Yes, I moved there recently. I'm there too, renting a house on the outskirts. I work in the city, so I commute every day. I see. Daniel, he offered his hand. Alicia. They shook hands. Daniel's palm was warm and dry, his handshake firm but not crushing. How long have you lived in the suburbs? He continued. A month. I've been there for half a year. I'm used to it. I like it and quiet, peaceful. Yes, that's a plus. They fell silent. The bus rattled on, scenery flashing by the windows. Alicia looked outside, thinking about being without a phone now. She'd have to buy a new one, bad timing and unplanned expenses. Where are you headed in the city? Daniel asked. To the office, on the other side of town. I've got a car, I can give you a ride if you'd like. Alicia hesitated. A stranger offering a ride. Usually she refused such things. But on the other hand, he had just saved her from falling and he seemed normal, none of that predatory look some men with bad intentions had. All right, thank you. At the final stop, they got off together. Daniel walked Alicia to the parking lot. His car was old but clean, a gray 10-year-old Ford Focus. Get in. Daniel opened the door. Alicia sat down. He started the engine and pulled out. Where to? Alicia gave him the address. Daniel nodded and drove off. He drove confidently, didn't get nervous in traffic, didn't swear at other drivers, didn't blast loud music. What do you do? He asked at a red light. Lawyer in a construction company. Serious job. I'm an engineer at a factory. We make machine parts. Interesting? Sometimes. Mostly routine, but the pay is good. They reached Alicia's office. She thanked him and got out. Alicia, wait. Daniel took a business card from the glove compartment. Here. If we run into each other again, I can give you another ride. Thank you. She took the card, told him her number, waved. Daniel drove off. All day Alicia thought about the encounter. Daniel seemed pleasant. No showing off, no fake charm. Just a normal man. Such men were rare. In the evening, on the bus ride home, she got a message from an unknown number. Good evening, this is Daniel. We rode together today. Wanted to ask, did you fix your phone? Alicia replied, yes, I bought a new one. I was thinking maybe it'd be easier if we rode together. I go to the city every day, can give you a lift. The bus is uncomfortable. Alicia hesitated. The offer was tempting. The bus really was crowded, especially in the morning, and the car was faster and more comfortable. But on the other hand, she didn't like depending on anyone. Thanks for the offer, but if I need to stay late or leave early, I'll get there on my own. Of course, no problem. Just offering. Not necessarily every day. Alicia thought for another minute. All right, let's try. That's how their acquaintance started. Daniel gave her rides 3 times a week. They called in the mornings to set the time. Daniel was always punctual, never late, never canceled last minute. They drove and talked about work, the weather, life in the suburbs. Daniel turned out to be a calm conversationalist. He didn't pry, didn't ask personal questions. He just drove, sometimes joked, sometimes stayed silent. Alicia got used to those rides. They became part of her routine: morning, coffee, bike to the stop, meeting Daniel, drive to the city. A month later they weren't just riding together. They talked in the evenings, texted. Daniel sent funny memes, Alicia replied with short comments. Light, easy, without pressure. One day on the road Daniel said, "You know, I feel comfortable with you. Usually I don't like giving people rides, they talk endlessly. But you stay quiet when needed. It's nice." "I don't like empty chatter," Alicia said, looking out the window. "Me neither." They drove on. Rain fell outside, the wipers swished across the glass. The car was warm, cozy. "Can I ask something personal?" Daniel asked after a couple of minutes. "You can." "Do you live alone or with someone?" Alicia turned to him. "Alone." "And why the question?" "Just curious. Sorry if it's tactless." "It's fine." "Yes, alone. And I plan to stay that way until I meet someone who deserves otherwise." Daniel nodded, smiled. "Good stance. I think the same. Better alone than with just anyone." "You're alone too?" "Yes, divorced for 5 years. My ex-wife moved to another city. We don't keep in touch. No kids." "I see." They didn't return to that topic, but Alicia felt something had shifted. A kind of connection had formed between them, not romantic yet, but close, as if they understood each other without words. By the end of July, Daniel suggested meeting somewhere outside of their drives. "Alicia, maybe we could go out? To a movie or a cafe?" "Why?" "Well, just to talk somewhere other than the car." Alicia thought. "All right, I'm free on Saturday." They met on Saturday afternoon. Daniel picked her up by car. They drove to the city and went to a cafe on Central Street. They ordered coffee and dessert, sat by the window and watched people pass by. "Are you always this serious?" Daniel asked, stirring sugar into his coffee. "Not always, but usually, yes." "Why?" "Habit. I grew up in a family where showing emotions wasn't allowed. My father was military, strict. My mother adjusted to him. I learned to keep everything inside." "I see. Are they alive?" "My father passed away 5 years ago. My mother lives in another city. She has a new family. We rarely talk." "Must be hard." "It's fine. I'm used to it." Daniel nodded and didn't dig further. Alicia appreciated that. He didn't try to pull her soul out, didn't smother her with sympathy. He simply accepted her as she was. They talked for 2 hours, then walked through the park. Daniel told her about his work, his plans for the future. Alicia listened, occasionally adding comments. She felt comfortable with him, no pressure, no expectations. When they said goodbye at her house, Daniel said, "I like spending time with you. Can we meet again?" "We can." He smiled and left. Alicia went inside and sat on the couch. Inside she felt warm, calm. It had been a long time since she'd felt that, a long time since she'd wanted to see someone again. In the following weeks they met regularly. They walked, went to the movies, had dinner in inexpensive cafes. Daniel was attentive but not clingy. He didn't rush things, didn't push. He was simply there. In August they kissed. It happened in the evening after a walk. Daniel was walking Alicia home. They stood by the gate. Daniel looked at her. "Alicia, may I?" He leaned in and touched her lips gently with his. The kiss was soft, careful. Alicia didn't pull away. Daniel stepped back, looked into her eyes. "Sorry if it's too soon." "It's fine. I liked you. A lot. I like you too." They stood silently. Then Daniel smiled. "I should go. Will I see you tomorrow?" "Yes." He left. Alicia entered the house and leaned her back against the door. Everything inside her trembled. It had been a long time since she'd felt that. A long time since she'd wanted someone. The following months felt like a dream. Walks, trips, dinners. Daniel came to Alicia's on weekends. They cooked together, watched movies, simply talked. Alicia slowly opened up, allowing herself to be vulnerable. In September, Daniel stayed the night for the first time. They lay in bed, Alicia curled against his shoulder. Alicia, I want us to be together, Daniel said quietly. Not just dating, but really being a couple. We already are a couple. I mean living together, building a future. Alicia lifted herself slightly and looked at him. I have a house. I'm not moving. I know. And I'm not asking you to. Let me move here. I'm renting anyway, and this is your place, more convenient. Alicia thought. She was used to living alone, used to silence and her own order. But she liked Daniel. Life with him was easy. He didn't intrude, didn't impose. All right, but with conditions. What conditions? The house remains mine. You don't register here. All expenses split equally. No joint accounts without my approval. Daniel nodded. Agreed. I don't need your house. I need you. They kissed. Alicia felt relief. Daniel understood, respected her boundaries. Daniel moved in October. He brought 2 bags of clothes, a box of books, and a laptop. Alicia gave him space in the closet, cleared a shelf in the bathroom. The first weeks felt strange. Getting used to another person's presence was harder than Alicia expected. Daniel didn't make a mess, wasn't loud, didn't disturb her, but he was there, and she felt it. Alicia became irritable. She wanted silence, and Daniel sometimes put on music. She wanted to be alone, and Daniel suggested watching a show together. A month later she said it directly. Daniel, I need personal time, no offense. I'm just used to being alone. Let's agree, when I say I want to be by myself, don't take it personally. Daniel frowned. All right, but you have to understand me too. I need to know I'm not getting in your way. If I'm ever unwanted, tell me right away. You're not unwanted. I just need space sometimes. Agreed. They found a balance. Daniel would go upstairs and do his own things when Alicia needed quiet. Alicia didn't mind when Daniel invited friends on weekends. They learned to live together without disturbing each other. By winter, Alicia realized she'd grown used to it. Daniel had become part of her life. He didn't push, didn't demand, didn't invade her privacy. He was simply there. And that felt right. In December, over dinner, Daniel said, Alicia, I want you to meet my mother. Alicia looked up from her plate. Your mother? Yes, she's been wanting to see you. I've told her a lot about you. She lives in the city. We can stop by on Saturday. And why didn't you tell me earlier? I wanted us to settle in first, to make sure everything was serious. Alicia nodded slowly. All right, let's go. Daniel smiled. She's nice, don't worry. Kind. Alicia didn't say that kindness wasn't the issue. She worried because mothers rarely react well, especially those who raised a son alone. On Saturday they drove to the city. Valentina lived in a 5-story building on the outskirts. A 2-room apartment, old renovation, old furniture, but clean. It smelled of soup and fresh pastries. Valentina greeted them at the door. A woman of about 62, short, plump. Gray hair arranged in a neat hairstyle. She wore a burgundy house dress and a floral apron. Daniel, finally. She hugged her son tightly, kissed both his cheeks, then looked at Alicia. And this is the Alicia you told me about? Yes, Mom, meet her. Hello. Alicia offered her hand. Valentina shook it, but her gaze was appraising. She looked Alicia up and down. Her eyes lingered on the bag, the watch, the jacket. Come in, come in. I've set the table. Made gazpacho, Daniel likes it, and pastries. They went into the kitchen. Valentina bustled around, pouring gazpacho, setting out plates. Daniel sat down, Alicia sat beside him. Eat while it's warm, Valentina said, taking a seat across from them. They ate. The gazpacho was delicious, the pastries good too. Alicia ate silently, feeling Valentina's eyes on her again and again. Alicia, where are you from? Valentina asked, sipping her soup. From this city, born here. And your parents? My father passed away. My mother lives in another city. So you're alone then? Yes. Valentina nodded, chewing her pastry thoughtfully. Must be hard. Being alone is always hard. Good thing you have Daniel now. Alicia stayed silent. She didn't want to clarify that Daniel was with her, not she with Daniel. Daniel says you have your own house? Valentina continued. Big? Medium. About 110 square meters. Oh, must have cost a lot. Alicia felt the muscles in her back tense. Here it comes. Reasonably. Did you buy it yourself or did your parents help? Myself. Valentina raised her eyebrows in surprise. All by yourself? No help? Yes. I saved up, took a small short-term loan, paid it off quickly. My, how impressive. Rare to see that. Usually young women rely on men. Alicia set down her spoon and looked Valentina in the eyes. Valentina, I don't rely on anyone but myself. That's my rule in life. There was a pause. Valentina stared at Alicia. Daniel coughed, choking on his gazpacho. It's a good rule, Valentina said at last. Just remember, in a family everything is shared. Husband and wife must trust each other, share everything. Trust and joint property are different things, Alicia replied calmly. I can trust a person and still keep my independence. Valentina pursed her lips, poured herself tea. Well, whatever you say. Lunch continued in tense silence. Valentina no longer asked direct questions. She talked about the neighbors, about her job at the library where she had recently retired. Daniel nodded, added comments. Alicia stayed silent, eating. After lunch, Valentina called Daniel into the kitchen. Alicia remained in the room, looking at the photos on the wall. Daniel as a child in a school uniform. Daniel as a teenager with a soccer ball. Daniel with his mother by the sea. Voices drifted from the kitchen. Valentina spoke quietly, but Alicia heard. Daniel, she's so cold, are you sure? Mom, she's just serious, she doesn't like small talk. But she doesn't even smile, and this independence of hers. Son, you need a woman who will support you, not someone who will lay down the law. Mom, Alicia supports me. In her own way. Alicia clenched her teeth. There it was. It had begun. The mother-in-law deemed her unsuitable. Typical story. She took out her phone and scrolled through the news. After 10 minutes, Daniel returned, looking embarrassed. Let's go. Time to head back. They said goodbye to Valentina. She hugged Daniel and gave Alicia a dry nod. In the car, Daniel was quiet. Alicia stared out the window. Sorry about my mom, he finally said. For what? She didn't mean it that way. She's just worried. I understand. Alicia, you're not upset, are you? Alicia turned toward him. Daniel, I don't get upset over other people's opinions. But remember, I won't apologize for who I am. If your mother thinks I'm cold, that's her right, but I'm not changing. Daniel sighed. I'm not asking you to change. Good. Then the subject is closed. They got home. Alicia went to the kitchen and put the kettle on. Daniel came in after her and hugged her from behind. Don't be mad. Mom just isn't used to women like you. She depended on men all her life, first her father, then my dad. It's hard for her to understand another way of living. That's not my problem. Alicia pulled away and poured the tea. Alicia, give her time. She'll get used to you. She'll see you're a good person. Daniel, I'm not proving anything to anyone. Your mother either accepts me or she doesn't. I don't care. Daniel nodded. They didn't talk about it again. The next months passed quietly. Valentina didn't call, didn't visit. Daniel went to see her every 2 weeks, alone. Alicia didn't insist on going with him. She was fine the way things were. In February, Daniel proposed. They were at home watching a series when suddenly he got down on one knee and took out a small box. Alicia, will you marry me? Alicia stared at him. Now? Seriously? Yes. I don't want to wait. We've been together almost a year. I know I want to spend my life with you. Alicia took the box, opened it. A simple silver ring with a small cubic zirconia. Daniel, do you understand the conditions? The house stays mine. You won't be registered here. There will be no joint budget. I understand and agree. And your mother will not live with us. I know. And she won't come over without warning. Agreed. Alicia hesitated. Daniel was good, calm, respectful, easy to live with. Maybe it was worth trying? All right, I'll marry you. Daniel hugged her and kissed her. Alicia felt warmth but also a lingering caution. Something told her things wouldn't be simple. They began preparing for the wedding. Set the date for April 20th. A small celebration, a few guests. Alicia didn't want a big event, and Daniel agreed. When Valentina heard about the wedding, she came to visit. Congratulations, she said stiffly. When is the celebration? April 20th, Daniel replied. I see. I'll come, of course, even though no one asked whether I'm needed or not. Mom, don't start, Daniel winced. Valentina sat on the sofa and looked at Alicia. I heard you two will live here after the wedding. Yes. Yes, Alicia repeated. Alicia stood by the window with her arms crossed. And me? You'll live at your place. Valentina pressed her lips together. Daniel is my only child. My husband passed away 12 years ago. I'm alone. It's hard. Valentina, Daniel is an adult. He needs his own family. But I'm his mother. Yes, and you'll always be his mother, but we will live separately. Valentina stood up, her face red. You're selfish. You're taking my son away. Alicia didn't flinch. I'm not taking him away. I'm marrying him. Those are different things. Daniel, Valentina turned to her son. Tell her. Daniel approached her, exhausted. Mom, Alicia is right. We need to live on our own. You can visit, we're not against it, but we won't live together. Valentina burst into tears. Daniel hugged her, stroked her back. Alicia stood by the window, watching. Inside, she felt cold, steady. No guilt. Valentina calmed down and wiped her tears. Fine. If that's how it is, but promise me you'll visit at least once a month. We promise, Daniel nodded. Valentina left. Daniel looked drained. Alicia, maybe we should visit her more often. She's lonely. Once a month is plenty. More than that, I'm not willing. But she cried. Daniel, your mother manipulates you with tears. You're an adult, you should see that. Daniel winced. She's my mother. It hurts to see her like that. Then visit her more often yourself. I don't mind. But don't demand it from me. Daniel nodded. The topic was closed. Wedding preparations continued. Alicia ordered a dress, Daniel a suit. They booked the restaurant, invited guests. Valentina called every day offering help. Alicia politely declined. 2 weeks before the wedding, Daniel came home looking anxious. Alicia, I need to tell you something. I'm listening. Alicia was finishing a work project on her computer. Mom asked she'd like to have a key to the house. Just in case. Alicia slowly turned to him. In case of what? Well, if we go somewhere or if something happens she could come in, check. No. Alicia. I said no. It's my house. Your mother will not get a key. But it's such a small thing. It's not a small thing. It's a boundary. I don't want anyone entering this house without my permission. Daniel clenched his fists. You're too strict. We're family. Family doesn't mean no personal space. I said no. Final answer. Daniel turned and walked out. A door slammed. Alicia sat staring at the screen. Inside, everything tightened. She knew Valentina wouldn't back down. Women like her never did. The next day Daniel apologized. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Mom won't get a key. You're right, it's your house. Fine. But promise we'll invite her sometimes. Alicia, I don't mind guests. I mind constant access. I understand. They made peace, but Alicia wasn't calm. Something felt wrong. Daniel had agreed too quickly, backed down too easily. A week before the wedding, Alicia got a call from her friend Paula. Alicia, are you sure you want to marry this man? Why do you ask? I saw him yesterday. He was leaving a key-making shop. He had a bag with him. Cold spread through Alicia's chest. Are you sure? Absolutely. I know that place well. I see. Thanks. Alicia hung up. So he did make copies. Secretly. Before the wedding. She called Daniel. Daniel, did you make copies of the keys? What? No. Don't lie. Someone saw you. Silence. Alicia, I wanted it to be a surprise. What kind of surprise? To give one to Mom. At the wedding. So she'd know we love her. Alicia felt rage rising like a wave. You made copies of my keys without permission, planning to give them to your mother after I explicitly said no. Alicia, it's just a gift. It's a betrayal. You broke my trust. Don't overreact. It's just keys. No, it's access to my home. Daniel, if you give her those keys, there will be no wedding. You're joking. No. Choose. Either you destroy the copies, or we're done. Daniel said nothing, then hung up. Alicia sat down, her hands trembling. She knew she'd done the right thing. Daniel had shown his true face. He didn't respect her, was ready to betray her for his mother. But the wedding was tomorrow, guests were invited, the restaurant was paid for, canceling was impossible. She thought for a while, then dialed the host. Good evening, can we change the program? What exactly? I need to add a moment, a surprise from the bride. Of course. What do you want? Alicia explained. The host laughed. Oh wow, that's going to be interesting. All right, agreed. Alicia went to bed. In the morning she woke at 6, as usual, calmly had breakfast, showered, began getting ready for the wedding. Because today Daniel and Valentina would get a lesson they'd remember forever. At 2 in the afternoon Alicia stood in front of the restaurant mirror. The dress fit perfectly, makeup light and natural. Hair simple, loose. She looked beautiful. but her face was cold, unreadable. Paula stood beside her, adjusting the veil. Alicia, are you sure you want to do this? Yes. Maybe think again? No. He betrayed me. Now it's my turn. Paula nodded. She'd known Alicia for years. She knew Alicia never forgave betrayal. At 3 the ceremony began. Alicia walked into the hall to music. Guests rose, watching her. Daniel stood by the altar looking happy. Valentina smiled from the first row. Alicia approached Daniel. They exchanged vows, rings, kissed. Applause. The reception began, music, dancing, toasts. Alicia sat next to Daniel, smiled, responded to congratulations. But inside she was ice. 2 hours passed. The host announced a break. Daniel stood up with a microphone. Dear guests, he began. I want to say a few words. The guests quieted, Alicia tensed. Today is the happiest day of my life, Daniel continued. I married a wonderful woman, and I want to give a gift to the dearest person in my life. He turned to Valentina and pulled a set of keys from his pocket. Guests murmured. Alicia clenched her hands under the table. Daniel stepped toward his mother and held out the keys. Mom, I made you a set of keys to our villa. Valentina gasped, her eyes filled with tears. Oh, sweetheart, thank you, you are so thoughtful. She took the keys, pressed them to her chest. Daniel hugged her, kissed her cheek. Guests applauded, someone whistled. Alicia sat still. Inside she was frozen. There it was. He did it publicly, humiliated her by giving away the keys to her house. Daniel returned, sat beside her, and looked at her with a guilty smile. Alicia, don't be mad. It's just a gesture. Alicia said nothing. A few minutes later the host took the microphone. Dear guests, and now, a gift from the bride to the groom and his mother. The guests buzzed with interest, turned to Alicia. Daniel looked surprised. Valentina straightened up, smiling. And then both froze. Alicia stood, took the microphone, looked at the guests, then at Daniel, then at Valentina. Daniel just gave his mother the keys to my house, she said calmly, without my permission, after I clearly explained that I did not want this. He violated my trust. He betrayed me. The guests fell silent. Daniel went pale. Alicia, this. Quiet. I'm not finished. Alicia pulled out her phone and showed the screen. This is the property registry extract. The villa's owner is Cruz Alicia. Only me. Daniel has no rights to this house. He's not registered there. He lives there with my permission. Guests began whispering louder. Daniel stood up, tried to take the microphone. Alicia, stop. You're embarrassing me. Alicia stepped back and looked him in the eye. I'm not embarrassing you. You're embarrassing yourself. You showed everyone you're ready to betray your wife for your mother. But I love you. If you loved me, you would respect my boundaries. Alicia turned to Valentina. Valentina, return the keys. Now. Valentina clenched them in her fist. It's a gift. I won't give it back. It's not a gift. Daniel made the copies illegally. The villa is mine. You have no right to it. Alicia pulled out her phone and began dialing. Who are you calling? Daniel grabbed her hand. The police. If Valentina doesn't return the keys, I'll file a report. Are you insane? No. I'm protecting what's mine. Valentina threw the keys onto the table. Here, take them. Greedy woman. Alicia picked up the keys, put them into her purse, then turned to the guests. The wedding is canceled. Daniel, take your things from the villa. You have 3 days. If you don't, I'll throw them out. Daniel tried to grab her shoulders. Alicia, wait, let's talk. Alicia stepped away, walked up to Valentina, leaned down, and looked her in the eyes. You wanted access to my home. You manipulated your son. Now live with the results. She turned and headed to the exit. Paula hurried after her. Alicia, wait. Let's go. I have nothing more to do here. They left the restaurant, got into a taxi, and drove off. The divorce was quick. The marriage had lasted less than a day, so no property division was required. Alicia filed the paperwork on Monday, and a month later she received the divorce certificate. Daniel tried to fight. He came every day, stood at the gate, shouted, begged for another chance. Neighbors peeked out of windows, whispering, but Alicia never came out. She stayed inside, worked, ignored him. On the 4th day Daniel tried to break in. He climbed over the fence, ran toward the house. Alicia called the police. They took him away and filed a report. After that, he never returned. Alicia packed his belongings neatly into boxes and set them outside the gate. Daniel came for them on Saturday morning while Alicia was in the city. She deliberately left so she wouldn't see him. Valentina called for 2 more weeks, crying, accusing Alicia of cruelty and heartlessness. Said Alicia had ruined her son's life. Alicia listened silently and then blocked the number. A month later, Alicia learned through acquaintances that Daniel quit his job, sold his car, packed up, and left with his mother. It turned out Valentina had an old house in a village inherited from her parents. It had been abandoned for 10 years but was still livable. They went there. Alicia felt neither pity nor satisfaction. It was simply a fact. They made their choices, now they lived with the consequences. 6 months later, Cynthia, the neighbor, shared details. I heard about your ex, she said while visiting for tea. They live now in the village El Pinar, about 100 kilometers from here. The house Valentina had, old thing. They moved there. I see, Alicia nodded. People say they're doing badly, no work, no money. He works part-time as a loader in the local shop. His mother complains to everyone that her son's life was ruined by his greedy wife. By his greedy wife? Alicia smirked. Oh yes. Says you threw him out. Didn't give him the house, didn't give him anything. So now they're suffering. Alicia said nothing. Explaining anything to Cynthia wasn't needed, the neighbor understood perfectly well. And you did the right thing not forgiving him, Cynthia added, finishing her tea. A man should keep his word. If he promised not to give the keys, then he shouldn't. And he embarrassed you in front of everyone. You did right to kick him out. Alicia nodded. Yes, she did the right thing. A year passed. Alicia lived alone, worked, tended her garden. In the evenings she sat on the terrace, drank tea, read books. She felt at peace. Life without Daniel turned out even easier than life with him. Sometimes her friends asked if she regretted anything. Alicia shook her head. Regret what? I got rid of someone who betrayed me. But you could have forgiven, tried again. No, I don't forgive betrayal. That's my rule. And it was true. Alicia never forgave those who broke her trust. She believed forgiveness was weakness, that someone who betrayed once would betray again. In August she met Carlos. By accident, at the market. He was buying apples, she with tomatoes. They bumped into each other. He dropped his bag, apples rolled. Sorry, he said, picking them up. It's nothing. Alicia helped him. They talked. Carlos was an architect. Recently moved to a nearby suburb, renting a house. A widower, his wife had passed away 3 years earlier. No children. Want some coffee? He offered. There's a cafe nearby. All right. They went, talked for 2 hours. Carlos was calm, not intrusive, asked no personal questions, gave no unsolicited advice. He simply talked about his work and plans. And you? He asked. What do you do? Lawyer. Serious profession. I design houses. I like when people get what they want. They exchanged numbers. Carlos called 2 days later. Alicia, I wanted to ask, maybe we could meet again? I enjoy talking with you. All right. They dated slowly, without rushing. Carlos didn't push, didn't demand attention. He was simply there when needed. 6 months later he moved in with her. Alicia set her conditions, like with Daniel. Her house, no registration, shared expenses. Carlos agreed without argument. Do you have a mother? Alicia asked once. Yes, she lives abroad with my brother. We rarely see each other, but we talk on Skype. She's independent, doesn't interfere in my life. Alicia exhaled in relief. The Daniel story wouldn't repeat. They lived together 18 years. Quietly, without scandals, without drama. Carlos respected her space, never crossed boundaries, never suggested giving keys to anyone else, never tried to register himself without her consent. He passed away suddenly. A heart attack. Alicia was 53. She buried him and returned to an empty house. Cried for the first time in many years. But life went on. Now Alicia is 61. She lives alone in her villa. The apple trees bloom every spring. The garden is tended, the house is strong. Sometimes she remembers that wedding, Daniel's face when she took the keys, Valentina's tears, the whispers of the guests. She doesn't regret her decision. Not for a second. One day, about 4 years after the divorce, she ran into Valentina in the city at a bus stop. Valentina stood with heavy bags, looking worn out. She saw Alicia, froze, then turned away. Alicia approached. Hello, Valentina. Hello, she replied stiffly. How is Daniel? And why do you care? Valentina looked at her with hatred. You left him, didn't you? Ruined his life? I didn't leave. I protected myself from betrayal. Betrayal? Valentina scoffed. He wanted to be nice to me. And you ruined everything over some keys? Not over keys, over disrespect. Disrespect you're cold as ice. You have no heart. Alicia looked at her calmly. Maybe, but I live by my own rules, and I don't let anyone violate them. Valentina turned away. The bus arrived. She gathered her bags and got on. Alicia watched the bus leave. She felt no pity, no triumph, only emptiness. Then she walked on. And Daniel still lives in the village with his mother. Works wherever he can, money barely covers food. Valentina is ill, constantly complaining. They are unhappy. But that is their choice, their life, their consequences. Alicia chose herself, her boundaries, her dignity. And she doesn't regret it for a single second. She sits now on the terrace of her villa, drinking tea, looking at the blooming apple trees. The wind rustles the leaves, birds are singing. It's quiet. Her home, her life, her rules. And that is what matters.
If you're enjoying it as well, leave a like and subscribe to the channel.